Hi everyone, I'm Dawn and welcome to What's the Stitch, a weekly web series where I answer all of your burning questions about costuming, cosplay, and sewing. One of the most common questions that I've been asked is how to budget for a sewing project, so that is what we're going to talk about today. Now, the first thing you're going to want to consider when you're building your budget is exactly how much fabric you're going to need. If you're using a store-bought pattern for your project, most of those instructions are going to be on the back. They're going to tell you how much you're going to need of varying types of fabric, how much you're going to need for your lining, if you need to use any eyelets for any lace-up portions, or hooks and eyes, or boning. One thing that you will need to consider, however, is the pattern isn't going to tell you everything. If you're thinking of interlining your piece, for example, or if you're wanting to add some extra trims or any other additional details, it's not going to tell you how much you're going to need there. So do keep that in mind when you're planning that out. Interfacing is a kind of stiffener that is used to give structure to a garment. It comes in light, medium, and heavy weights, can be woven like fabric or made of felted materials, and it can be sewn in, or you can get ones that have the back coated in a light adhesive that will melt and attach it to the fabric that you iron it to. Interlining is another way to add weight and structure to a garment. I like to use a cotton broadcloth for this. You can often find this in discount sections at your fabric store, but personally I like to use secondhand sheeting for it. It's a great way to get large amounts of fabric for very cheap that is a decent quality, but make sure that you do run it through your sanitized function on your washing machine first. Of course, the amount of fabric that you're going to need is going to vary very much depending on what you're trying to make. A strapless bodice usually uses about half a meter of fabric. Something with sleeves can use 1 to 1.5 meters. A pencil skirt is also about a meter. Larger circle skirts and gathered affairs can run about 3 to 4 meters, and a skirt for a ball gown could be about 5 to 8 depending on how full you want it to be. Also keep in mind, if you're planning on doing any pleating on an average skirt, this is going to approximately triple the amount of fabric that you're going to use. So a regular skirt would use about 1 meter, a pleated skirt is going to use about 3. Say you're making a strapless bodice, for example. This is going to mean half a meter of fabric, half a meter of interfacing, and half a meter of lining. I personally like to interline both my fabric layer and my lining layer, so that's another full meter of interlining. But if you're planning to do an internal corset for structure, that's going to add another meter of interfacing, another meter of interlining, and another half meter of lining as well. So suddenly your initial estimate of 1.5 meters for your bodice is turning into 4.5. You can definitely see how this is going to add up in a bigger project. Also keep in mind, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Depending on what you're making, you're also going to need notions. These are things like zippers, buttons, boning, hooks and loops, trims for different elements of your garments, eyelets if you're doing something with a corset, and those too can get a little bit pricey. Local fabric stores often have a membership option that will automatically give you a discount, which is an absolute godsend if you're going to be doing a lot of sewing. Now, my biggest cost-saving tip for all of you is to become familiar with your local secondhand stores. Places like Value Village or Goodwill often have sections dedicated to textiles and bedding. I found some really great surprises hanging on the rack. As I've said earlier, I found a lot of secondhand bed sheets that I use for my interlining, which of course I sanitize in my washing machine before I use. And it's usually really good quality fabric and far cheaper than buying a simple broadcloth at the fabric store. And for those interested in making historical garments, something like, something steampunk, medieval, Renaissance, I would go and look at some drapery. You can get some really cool finds there, and it's a lot cheaper than buying something at a fabric store. And it's also super cute if you're looking to make a modern cocktail dress. And of course, there's some really great online references for fabric as well. Keep in mind, though, that shipping costs can be a little pricey. Living in Canada or anywhere outside of the States, these can easily double your fabric costs, so please do keep that in mind if you're going to be ordering online. And of course, there's also the clearance section of your local fabric store. Basically, keep an eye out for sales. The season enders are always great for deals and coupons. You'd be amazed what you can find on sale. A couple weeks ago, I found some gorgeous rainy blue drapery satin that I'm going to be using for a Renaissance dress. It was $5 a meter. I was so happy. Alright everyone, that's all I've got for you today. If you enjoyed it and want to see more sewing tips, leave me a like and ring that bell. And if you've got any more suggestions for saving money on your sewing projects, leave me a comment below and I can share it on the blog. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!